Oh, yes.
Welcome back once again, everyone. Today I'm doing a review for the new Transformers War for Cybertron Earthrise Decepticon Fasttrack. Fasttrack is number 35 in the Earthrise toy line. And for those unfamiliar with the character, he actually started life as a small partner that was included with the original Generation 1 Scorponok. So as is the trend with the War for Cybertron trilogy, all of these old drone or mini-bot type partners of the old Titans or Citybots have been given fully fledged, fully realized toys, typically in the form of weaponizers. So not only do they get their robot mode and vehicle mode, but they also get some sort of combination of weapon up type modes for other characters. So Fasttrack here is no exception, does all that stuff. He also does a little bit more. He has Earthrise connectivity with the airlock system, so he can also kind of function as a modulator. And he also has a fully fledged weapon mode in the form of the Tyrant Spear, which is set to go with the Earthrise Scorponok toy. So you can bet I'm going to be busting that out for this review. In fact, I might have to change location just to get him in there because he's so big. But if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this is going to go. We're going to take a look at Fasttrack's packaging, then we'll open it up, we'll see his map piece, we'll look at the instructions, and then we'll see Fasttrack himself in both his vehicle, robot modes, also his weaponizer type modes, and his spear mode, which, of course, I'll be using to interact with Scorponok. So expect a lot of group shots with his Titan partner today. You'll see some cameos from some other, deluxe or larger class toys that he can merge with as a weaponizer. And then, of course, at the end of the video, I'll get my final thoughts. So Fasttrack comes in this incredibly beat up box because I got it from Amazon and they apparently like just kicking my things around while they're delivering them. So that's unfortunate. Again, thank God I am not an inbox collector because I would be furious about this. And look at this. Oh, it's so abused. But anyway, you can see the character front and center. Takes up a good chunk of the box, so you know he's not a tiny deluxe by any means. And you flip to the side and you get this really cool artwork that has not just Fasttrack in the foreground charging in his vehicle mode, but also Airwave kind of just rising up out of the forest in the background looking very cool and ominous, and also being way bigger than I think he has any right to be. Like, why is he many, many times the size of large trees? I never really expect him to be that big. It's really cool, and I mean, for somebody that turns into like an airport, it kind of makes sense, but he also turns into a Micromaster airport. The toy itself is only deluxe. Weird scale issue going on in a line that's normally consistent with scale, but I will say it looks awesome. Got this real Iron Giant feel to it, so I'm down. Even if it's silly. On the back, we get renders of Fasttrack. Oh man, look at this box. This kills me right here. So for the renders, you can see his robot and vehicle modes, as well as the breakdown into his component parts, and then they show off the Tyrant Spear. Takes 10 steps to go from robot to vehicle, 7 steps to break down into his pieces. They also highlight his compatibility with Scorponok, not just as a spear, but they also show that he's Titan Master compatible, which is really cool, because that means he's backwards compatible with like all of Titan's Return. So again, a nice touch. This guy's kind of a little bit of everything wrapped into one. Like, he's a weaponizer, a modulator, a battle master, and basically a vehicle for Titan Masters. So he kind of does a lot of things. And then, of course, to nobody's surprise, is your Earthrise side panel. This time, badly dented and warped. At least it's different, right? Right, so here we have the map piece for Fasttrack. And this one's actually got a name on it, so that's cool. And when you put your handy-dandy decoder over it, it says Botropolis. So for anyone confused by that, since it's not typically a Transformers thing, Botropolis is actually the name of the GoBot's home planet. Which, brief history lesson, they were a competitor to Transformers in the 80s, but then Hasbro bought them, so now they own both. And they haven't really done GoBots in recent years, but there's no reason they can't include them in the greater Transformers mythos, which looks like that's what they're doing here. And there's also going to be one of those Galactic Odyssey packs centered around this planet, though I don't think they revealed that one yet. So I'm really curious to see. I'm hoping it would make sense for them to be some sort of GoBot themed recolors, but we'll see how that goes. And then here we have the instructions. They're pretty standard fare, render, name, branding. You get the tech specs right on the front again. Sometimes they're on this front, sometimes they're over here. Just depends on the space. This little side right here just shows you how to store his weapon on the back of his arm. Well, his blade weapon. He's got a few weapons. Or how to remove one of the little guns and put them on his shoulder. So you can do any combination. Now, the original toy just had guns for hands. So you can emulate that if you want. Or if you want like a cooler looking robot, you can put one or both of them on his shoulders and let him wield his knife. You know, whatever you got to do. Over here, this shows you how to transform him from robot to vehicle mode. And then this shows you how to get his vehicle mode to be able to interact with the little Scorponok figure, or how to flip out the ramp so he can connect to modulators or any airlock compatible toys. Here they use Ironworks for some reason, even though he's an Autobot, but yeah, whatever works. Probably should have used Grease Pit's name. And then here you have the breakdown of how to separate him into little itty bitty pieces, how to turn those pieces into either the Tyrant Spear for Scorponok, or how to transform them into a Weaponizer Mode that can be utilized by any Deluxe or larger toy for the War for Cybertron line. Here they're using Run Amok, so probably bust out Run Amok myself. And then on the end, you just get your handy dandy how to hold a red piece of plastic to a piece of cardboard. Okay, and now we get Fasttrack in his classic vehicle mode, which is, you know, very much based off of the original toys vehicle mode from the Scorponok toy in G1. And no new surprises here, right? It's a 6-wheeled little futuristic buggy type thing. It's got 2 cannons on the side. You can see it's got a weapon storage for the little bladed weapon just right here on the shoulder. And you can see his head poking out a bit, but it's tech looking enough to where it's not super obvious, I guess. For me, the weirdest thing is the obvious robot chest on the back of it. It's kind of an eyesore. Kind of makes me wonder why there's windows on his chest when they're on the back of the vehicle, but whatever. Now, the instructions will show you to remove this little bladed weapon thing and attach it to the back of the head. It just plugs in via this hole. You want the side with this like little slot facing up, not the one with the 5mm hole. Plug it in like that, or fail to do so, as I'm doing. All right, and it creates a little seat for a Titan Master. In this case, let's use Eric because you know it's his partner. All right, it's kind of awkward, right? He's like sitting way off the back of this thing. There's nothing for him to hold on to. But it's just cool that he gets some sort of seat. Now, honestly, I don't know why they even suggest storing the bladed weapon on here rather than just leaving it as like a permanent seat on the vehicle. I plan to. I think it makes more sense that way. But you have options. You can always choose to do what you want. Okay, now we want to look at his, I don't know what you'd call it, connectivity mode. Not really a mode, just flipping out a ramp, basically. But to do this, in this case, you will want to have the weapon stored on the arm because it's just going to kind of get in the way if you put it in the back. So you want to detach the top and bottom halves, like so. And you need to get this black panel out. And sometimes a pain in the butt to get out. Doesn't really want to get out there. So I'd recommend to kind of cheat it out. Just use one of these. Stick it in there. Boop. Much easier, rather than fighting with it. So you get this piece out. The camera doesn't want to focus today. And you just flip it out, like so. Go ahead and reattach the top and bottom halves. You want to get these slots to line up on these tabs here. That's how it holds it on. Sometimes easier said than done. There you go. All right, so you got this. So now you need something to connect it to. So in this case, I'm going to bring out old Airwave in his airport mode. And luckily this has some give to it and it can, you know, swing up and angle itself. So you want to connect this via the airlock connection. Let's go ahead, push them together. It's on a hinge, so probably want to hold the piece itself. All right, just kind of angle it down. And yeah, there you go. So it connects, it's airlock compatible, but kind of like with hoist and grapple at that, I just don't really see the point of this. Like, I don't know, congratulations, you can go down the runway and then crash in the back of this bigger vehicle. I don't know. I get it, you know, it increases the toy's play value to some extent by making it airlock compatible, but, you know, with the execution, what does this accomplish exactly? I'm not really sure. It doesn't turn in any sort of base mode or anything. But it is what it is. Okay, and here's a good look at Fasttrack with Scorponok in his base mode. Just so you can see, you know, kind of the play pattern intended here. You get this little support vehicle that can drive around all over the base. Provide some much needed firepower since they skipped out on Scorponok's extra cannons. Doesn't really have a way to defend himself. And of course, you just got the little mini Zarek here hitching a ride and just overseeing everything. And they work really well together. The colors aren't an exact match. Scorponok opts for a darker, more, you know, metallic shade of gray. And this guy uses just kind of a flatter, lighter color. The oranges are pretty close, though. I think his are a bit lighter, but close enough to color match for, you know, quick glances. And, you know, I think he really completes the set. More so, I would say, than any of the previous Titan partners that have come as weaponizers, because these two are actually designed with each other in mind, whereas the other weaponizers, they were retroactively built for existing Titan toys, so they didn't really have any interactivity. But these guys, especially with Scorponok having just 5mm posts everywhere, you can break this guy down, make him extra armaments for the base. You can do a lot of things. So I think this so far is the most successful execution of that whole pairing. Now, we're supposedly getting Metroplex's other weaponizer partner in Kingdom. That hasn't been confirmed, but some leaks have pointed to that. But again, Metroplex is a much older toy, so don't expect too much interactivity there. This is probably as good as it gets. Like, not even Brunt had a seat for Triptychon's headmaster partner. Alright, now it's time to transform Fasttrack into his Weaponizer mode. So, just want to break them down as component parts. So you take this little dagger thing off, move the arms, go ahead and separate these top and bottom halves, remove this little cockpit piece, and these, you're going to want to detach them from the front here, stretch them out by unfolding the knees like so. Go ahead and bring that down, and then pull off the legs. And you get all of these little component pieces right here. All right, so the first thing you want to do for this weaponizer mode is combine the two torso pieces. So you want this to plug straight up and in. So go up and push it in like so. And turn the head around like you're going to convert them to robot mode, and just leave it. Take the legs, straighten them out. Gonna point the feet mostly down, not all the way. Go about like that. And we're gonna come around here, plug the bottom of the feet into the tops of the legs, like so, where his hips go. Get in there pretty nice. And kind of just close these around the joints, like that. Now let's slide this back. You're going to want to go ahead and take the arms and rotate them to where this little black ridge part is facing up against here, like so. So you do the same thing here, like that. And you're going to take them and plug them into the thighs right here, and you want these little 5mm posts sticking out. Oops, don't do that. Get them in there, get everything kind of straightened out, neat. Do what you got to do. All right, then we're going to go up here, and you're actually going to utilize the toy's ankle tilt to bend these forward as much as you need to. Now you want to take the cockpit section, you're going to splay it out like so, create this shield type thing, and then you want to take his little dagger piece, and you're going to plug it in. It'll go in there nice and firmly. So now you have basically a cannon backpack and a shield weapon. So let's go ahead and we're going to utilize Mr. Runamuck, since they used him for the instructions. Also, since like nobody seemed to want to watch his review, so give him some more spotlight. And to plug this in, you just want to flip this little 5mm peg out. That's going to go into Runamuck's back. If you can get it to stay out. Pretty loose, so it may fight you a little bit. Okay, you can do it. Doesn't help that Runamuck's hole in his back is painted, so it's going to be a tighter fit. All right, and once you've endured whatever titanic struggle you need to get Runamuck's backpack to accept this, get it all nice and posed up, and then we'll go ahead and just attach his little bladed shield thing to his forearm. Well, that's a tight fit too. This guy just doesn't like playing with others, does he? All right, there we go. So this is our weaponized Runamuck, and he's pretty cool. The cannons are a bit overly large, and because of his big backpack, they're kind of stuck just pointing upwards a bit. You can always fix that if you want to, just by kind of rotating the arms around, finagling them to where you can utilize their elbow joints to point down a little more, if you so choose. But this looks pretty good. Definitely looks like a very anime-esque super attack. Reminds me of Armada Optimus when he combines with Overload. And, you know, overall, I think Fasttrack makes for a pretty decent weaponizer. I really like the bladed shield thing. That just looks really cool. And a lot better than some of the other shields we've received from weaponizers. The whole cannons over the back has become kind of cliche with these guys. I think they all have that, you know, some variation of that weapon mode. So I wish they'd be a little more creative, but, you know, it serves its purpose. It is pretty cool, and it does give Runamuck quite a bit of extra firepower. Okay, from here, we're going to convert Fasttrack to his Tyrant Spear mode for use with Scorponok. Choosing that one because, honestly, it just requires the least amount of transformation from, you know, this step to the next. So the whole shield thing, I actually just want to set aside as is, because we're going to reuse that configuration. Then, we want to go ahead and remove the arms from the legs. Just kind of set them out of the way. And bring this back. Let's go ahead and remove the lower legs from the torso, and then separate the upper and lower torsos from each other. Whoops. Yeah, not like that. I'm not supposed to take that apart. I just don't like to play ball. I like that he's secured pretty firmly, but it does make the halves kind of hard to separate. Jeez, there we go. Whatever works. Okay. So we got this. We want to go ahead and rotate the waist joint 180. Then you're going to take your legs, and you want to connect them here with the wheels facing up and the heels kind of going together. So you're going to get something, oops, wrong way. You're going to get something that looks like this. Right now, just go ahead and point the feet out. So you got that. Right now you take your weird leg assembly here. You'll take your bladed shield, and you're going to plug this into the bottoms of the feet and guiding these little rail things into these slots here on the feet. So you got to get all line up just right. Push it all the way down, and that'll help hold everything in place, like so. Then you're going to take the arms, and the instructions have you start with this one, though I don't think functionally it really matters. So, to give you an idea of what they want, you got the black band with the notch here, and then you got the peg facing that way. Then once you do that, you're going to rotate the lower half of the arm like this to where this hole is showing, and pretty much do the same thing with the other arm. You'll plug it in, get it nice and in there, nice and straight. Rotate this 90 degrees, and here it is. This is the Tyrant Spear. And it looks really floppy, and it is kind of floppy. Not as bad as some people made it out to be, but that also could be due to tolerances on individual copies. You know, if you have looser arm joints, that could definitely be an issue. And I wouldn't expect anyone to be able to hold it very well from just the handle, but luckily Scorponok's got some big old mitts, and he can just kind of grasp the whole thing right here. And that's all it really needs to do, right? Now, one thing I want to point out is that this piece, the front of the torso plus the head and all that, is not used for this mode. And there's not really a good way to actually store it on there without it looking silly. So that was really disappointing to realize because, you know, you won't want to have parts of your toy just kind of being discarded and laying around somewhere when you're utilizing it. And, you know, if I was planning on having Scorponok hold the spear mode on my shelf, I'd have to do something with this. So that's a big bummer. And it could just be me. Maybe you don't care, but I wish they could have integrated this piece into the spear because it just really bugs me that it's not there. I guess you could store it inside Scorponok's chest. That is always an option, I suppose. Alright, so we've got Scorponok here, this time in his robot mode. And that way we can show off the whole interactivity with the Tyrant Spear. And I call it interactivity, kind of a loose term for it. You're just sticking it in his hand using gravity to hold it. But yeah, you can get him to kind of close his hand around it. It doesn't stay very well, and he does leave kind of a sizable gap in his hand. So you kind of have to finagle it a bit. But you can get something like this. That's not a bad configuration. If anything, it color matches him well. Now, obviously, this isn't a perfect recreation of Black Zarek's Tyrant Spear, right? That wasn't a jumbled mess of vehicle parts. But it was a way for them to really increase the compatibility between the two toys, and admittedly, save some money when it came to designing Scorponok. So it's not as cool as getting a dedicated accessory, or, you know, Scorponok's cannon, his gun, right? Whatever, Hasbro. Thanks a lot, guys. But it's a good enough consolation prize anyway. And, you know, if you want a truly fleshed out Scorponok, you'd want to buy Fasttrack either way. So it's kind of winning, I guess. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Overall, I like it. Overall, it's a cool thing, and I'm glad it exists. But again, it's kind of weird. On the plus side, the whole spear of the shield is a pretty nice look for this guy. Very Viking warrior-esque. I mean, he's got the horned helmet. It kind of adds to the look. Which, fun historical fact, there's actually no real evidence of Vikings having horned helmets. But whatever, it's fantasy. We can do what we want. Alright, once you're done having fun with the spear mode, break everything back down to its component parts, and now let's do the transformation, finally, to the robot mode. So the first thing you want to do, go ahead and detach the little dagger piece from the shield, close that back up into like a cockpit. Let's take our lower torso / hip section, rotate it back around, then connect the legs with the wheels facing out. Like so. That kind of standing up. Let's go ahead and reattach the two halves of the torso together. So push this up in, slide it forward until everything pushes into place nice and neatly. So get that. Take the cockpit. You're going to use this single port to plug it into the back. And you want these little gun-looking things facing up. So now you want to attach his arms. You want to do it with the black band piece facing forward. So utilize the lower hole here. Go ahead, plug the arms in. Get everything looking nice. And now the official storage place for this dagger is on the back of his arm again. So go ahead and do that. And here you get the robot mode in its most standard configuration, and the one most reminiscent of the original toy. So you can see he's got like blasters for hands here. Now as far as posability, old Fasttrack, he has a swivel head. Got full range of motion on the shoulders. They go back and forth, up and down. Got the bicep swivel. He does have wrist swivel, which is really cool. It's a full 360 on the waist. It's universal joints for the hips. They go, you know, in and out, back, forth, all that. Thigh swivel, single bend knees, which get a very, very deep bend, which is cool. And then ankle tilt. So this guy's got it all, really. So very posable little character. Looks really, really good in this mode. I love the metallic blue on the chest there. And if you don't like this look for him with the gun hands, you could always switch it up. So the official way to do this is to remove his right gun hand, or gun, whatever, put it on the shoulder, and go ahead and take the little blade weapon off, put it in his hand, and you can do something like this. Kind of get a halfway. Or you just go all the way and give him two shoulder-mounted guns. So kind of make him like his buddy Scorponok, and that gives him two hands that he can use. Whichever way you want to do it, it's going to look really cool because this guy is just a very solid-looking robot. And here's a quick look at Fasttrack and Zarek manning the station in their robot modes. Again, just to show off the whole play pattern we got going on. And again, he just feels perfect for the set. He feels like he was meant to be here. So I really got to give the designers credit for building this really believable, really good ecosystem between our newest Titan and his Weaponizer partner. And I will point out, as far as size is concerned, you can see that these two are very, very close in height, with Zarek being just, I don't know, maybe 2-3 millimeters taller than Fasttrack, so it works very well. They scale together like perfectly. And I think that's going to conclude my look at the new Fasttrack toy. So my thoughts on this guy summed up, he's a fantastic figure. Honestly, there's really no qualms with this toy at all. He has a solid vehicle mode, solid robot mode, his Weaponizer mode is nothing to scoff at, and the Tyrant Spear, while kind of floppy and, not accurate to the original thing, is just a really neat added bonus that really helps him just feel like part of the overall Scorponok experience. So I very much recommend picking this guy up, especially if you have Scorponok. As far as I know, and especially on my copy, there don't seem to be any sort of QC issues with this toy, so that's always a huge plus. Earthrise doesn't have the best track record when it comes to tolerances and things like that, and breakage, but mine is very, very solid. Certain steps of transformations are kind of a pain in the butt with him, as far as parts not wanting to, come apart as easily as I wish they would. But that also seems to be a common trend with weaponizers. For some reason, I have an issue with weaponizers and getting certain, pegs to flip out or things to plug in. So, I don't know, that's a thing to expect, I suppose. But yeah, overall, great figure. Very welcome addition to the wave and to the line. And I hope any weaponizers that come out in the future, well, I hope they're just as good, because this guy's very solid. But, of course, that is purely what I think of Fasttrack. Now, what's more important is what you guys think of this toy. Do you think he's worth picking up? Are you excited to get him? How do you feel about his spear mode? Is that like a deal breaker or a deal maker for you? Any and all feedback, of course, is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. And thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Transformers Earthrise Fasttrack. And with all that said, I will see you next time.